Yeah, we just got to talk about a little something. Uh, Donald Trump's lawyer, she flipped on him. She flipped. Here's what it is. She flipped on him. So, people just keep people associated with Trump. They keep taking deals, but I don't have any expertise in this field, but there's a YouTuber who does. And so when this happened, when Sidney Powell flipped on Donald Trump, um, there's a guy that criminal CLR criminal lawyer reacts. He talks about this normally in the hip hop world. He's a criminal lawyer, and he talks about the stuff that goes on. And his big thing is, he tries to tell these people to stop self snitching, like just stop self snitching. But this thing right here, and I don't see how anybody can be surprised. She's not going to be the only one. More people gonna do it. This really hurts Donald Trump. This really hurts Donald Trump. And he's sitting here talking, the Georgia case. This is the one with the election fraud and rigging the election and all this, tampering with the election and all that. Because Trump has so many indictments out there, it's really hard to keep them all straight. So many cases going on. But this one, because it's a state case, I didn't think it would get a lot of traction. I thought it was going to get bogged down. But they're really aggressive and they're going after Trump. Georgia cares about Georgia, and Georgia cares about their election and their, the process. And, Trump is always saying fake news this, and this is they're lying about that, and it's a witch hunt. And I don't know. This state case has gotten a whole lot better for the prosecution, and this has gotten a whole lot worse for Donald Trump in his defense. So trust me, she's just the first to take a deal and flip. But we're gonna watch this video so you can see what I'm talking about. And then, the one case that I'm worried about, not that I'm a Trump supporter, I'm not, but the one case I think the case that's going to do the most damage to Donald Trump is the documents case, the one, and that's being handled out of Florida, out of Miami. That one, with the whole Mar-a-Lago thing, that one's definitely a problem. I don't see him getting out of that. So that's going to be a conviction of a federal charge, and then this thing in Georgia is going to be looking like he's going to get convicted on a state charge. So, a president can pardon you at the federal level, but you need a governor. You need the governor to pardon you at the state level. And Georgia has very strict rules regarding who the governor can pardon under certain circumstances or whatever. So, I keep trying to tell folks, Donald Trump is going to do some time. How much time? Don't know. But he's going to do some state and some federal time. But let's check this out. This is Bruce Rivers. This is the criminal lawyer. So this is CLR, criminal lawyer reacts. And he's going to talk about this. This is going to be about 14 minutes or so. But let's check this out.
Powell now is 100% guaranteed snitch. She has to testify at everybody's trial, including DJT. She's a fucking snitch.
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer.
Shout out to his intro.
And it's gonna react.
Shout out to his weapons. I thought he was down in Florida, but it looks like he might be in Georgia.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, your personal board-certified criminal defense lawyer, board-certified by the National Board of Trial Advocacy and the Minnesota State Bar Association as a criminal trial specialist. And today I am joined with our content genius at the camera, Michael Rivers, and we are reacting to the news that Sidney Powell, attorney and disgraced lawyer, has pled guilty in court in Georgia. But before we get to that, this is brought to you by eSign.com.
And he goes into his sponsor, which is eSign. You guys can definitely check it out. I'll play that in a second. We got Brother Cody's King in the building. What's good, fam? How you feeling, bro? He's like, nah, nothing will come of any of that. So far, only thing I seen that can land him in jail is if he violates the gag order, bro. Nah, man, this Georgia thing is a problem. You're gonna see how much of a problem it is. There are, I think there are 2 gag orders in effect right now. The one in New York, and that's the one with, Trump was the financial fraud, manipulating, his net worth and all that. There's a gag order for that trial, and I think it's a gag order for this trial. No, I think it's a gag order for the one in Georgia, and if it's not the one in Georgia, it's the one out of D.C. We're talking about a former president, and we can't keep all of the cases straight. You feel me? Trump is done. Trump is going to sit down. It's beyond the point where, we're going to work a deal over here, work a deal over there. He's the guy. Like he's the kingpin. Everything points to him. So yeah, bro, Trump is going to do some time. He's going to do some federal time. He's going to do some state time. He went too far, bro. Like, what did she plea on? We about to see in a minute. She was facing a little bit of time. She didn't want to deal with what she was facing. So this goes over the whole plea arrangement, the whole plea agreement. This is why I wanted to watch this, man. So check this out. But she, in her plea, she admits that there was a crime. There was wrongdoing. She was a part of said crime, and she also admits that she's going to testify against those who participated in the crime. So we're about to check it out right now, man. Check this out. So this is eSign, his commercial.
eSign.com, a very effective way to remotely do business. Let's say you're trying to influence an election, say in a neighboring state of Georgia, like Alabama, because everybody in Alabama, is liberal, and you wanted to flip it the other way. And so what you do is, you send out all these documents, and you want to get all these signatures for your petition. Well, you get them e-signed. E-sign is a very effective way to remotely sign a document. You can be any document. It could be a petition to overthrow.
And like dude is going in. I don't think dude is liberal. I think he's conservative. I really do. But it's hard to tell. But let's get back to it.
In the office, or I need a medical release, or any kind of document you need. And here's the other thing. It's the kind of thing that can actually keep a business deal done quickly. If it's not e-sign, no one signs. Today, we're reacting to the news that Sidney Powell has now pled guilty. And I think this makes sense. She's on the eve of trial, right? A lot of times deals get done on the eve of trial, because all of a sudden they see this freight train coming after them. And so we're gonna watch the court proceedings. I'm gonna explain to you, number one, what this plea means, what the conditions of her plea are, and what would the implications be if she were not to comply with those conditions. She is such a freaking tool, by the way. And I hate to say that about a fellow lawyer, but she's gone all over this country on very frivolous lawsuits, and every single one of them has been thrown out. Let's just kind of see what happens.
And yeah, it's nothing to do with the fundraising part, bro. This is all about the obstruction. This is all about the tampering. This is some bad stuff, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. I didn't think Georgia had it together like this. I'm surprised the feds didn't take this case. I wonder why they didn't, but let's continue.
In court here.
All right, Ms. Powell, I just have a few questions for you. Do you understand the nature of the charges that have been reaccused that you would be pleading guilty to today?
So the first thing you do in any plea is you waive your rights, because you have a right to a trial. At a trial, you're presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to cross-examine any witnesses. That's your Sixth Amendment right to confrontation. You also have the right to present a defense and bring witnesses you think would be favorable to appear and testify on your behalf in court. And you have the right to testify or remain silent. And if you chose to remain silent, nobody can hold that against you. So those are the trial rights that you're waiving. Whenever you do a plea, you have to waive those rights.
Understood. And you've heard all the rights that the state has gone through that you would waive by going forward with this plea. Do you still wish to waive those rights?
I do.
And are you pleading guilty today because you agree that there is a sufficient factual basis, that there are enough facts that support this plea of guilty?
So the other part.
In this part here, he's about to talk about the factual basis, and he talks about waiving all your rights and all this. I'm no law person. That's not my thing, especially in the criminal court. I've been witness to some proceedings, most of them arraignments. Maybe I do know a little bit about arraignments, but as far as the trial and as far as people coming in and cutting deals and doing all this, I've never seen it. It's like, so just kind of watching this for me is like kind of watching it for the first time. And it's very interesting how he breaks it down. So shout out to the criminal law attorney.
Part of a plea is called a factual basis. And what a factual basis is, the judge can't take, first of all, a judge can't take a plea from anybody who claims to be innocent, right? And so a factual basis, like that, there have to be underlying facts that you agree with to support a guilty verdict, or to support the guilt.
Mr. Rafferty, are you satisfied your client is?
And there's a lot of people who take deals who didn't do the crime. There's a lot of people who do that in America. I mean, like, so like this plea bargaining thing, I'm not really crazy about, because there's a lot of people that they'll take a deal, right? They'll plea, they'll say that they committed a crime so they don't have to face, like a real high sentence. So if you're accused of, I don't know, some illicit, like drug case or something like that, and your attorney sit there and say, well, we can wait for, we can get our day in court, we can go to trial on this, but I can't prove this. Be like, the attorney will tell you, like, I can't prove your innocence. Like, you can't prove your innocence. They have a mountain of evidence over there. In most cases, the prosecutor knows that you probably didn't do it, but they want something from you. They want somebody else. So it's like, well, look, you can go the distance, have your day in court, lose, and you could be facing 12 years in prison, or you can take this deal and it will give you probation, or maybe, 9 months, and half of that is time served. So it's like, all right, so you just go in there, you do like another 4 months, and then you're out. But if we need you, not if, but when we need you to testify against this person over here, you're going to come and you're going to testify, and you're going to tell the truth about what you know. So that's a lot of pleading going on out there. A lot of pleas in the American system, because the poor folks don't have the money to fight. When wealthy people take a plea, that means they're probably guilty of whatever it is they're accused of, and they're looking for the best way out. And so when we, as we continue to watch this, you will see exactly why she took this plea. You know what I mean? But that's how it works down here in America. Like, I think everyone should have to go to trial, but prosecutors, they love using that plea bargain. And Cody's like, so basically, they made you falsely admit that you have factual information so that you can get a deal, so they don't lawfare you into poverty. Yeah, well, for the poor people, they can't prove their innocence. And that's the biggest problem with poor people. Like, they just don't have the resources to get the investigators, to get the multiple attorneys that they would need to argue down and get the experts to break down the prosecutor's case. That's the problem. Right. And again, it's like, it's definitely, if you got money, you look at someone like O.J. Simpson, right? O.J. Simpson was guilty. It is what it is. But he had enough money to hire the right attorneys to beat the case, because the police are always sloppy. Prosecution. This is why people beat a lot of state cases, right? It's hard to beat a federal case because the feds won't go to trial if they know they can't win. They just won't do it. Like, their conviction rate is so high. And a lot of, when the feds come and they have all that evidence and they have you on tape saying things, like, that's you saying you did it, you facing that because you got all the evidence in front of you. You got discovery. You see what they got on you. You're like, oh man, right? So that's what's happening with her. She's like, oh man, this is deeper than I thought, and she doesn't want to take the chance. So yeah, man, they basically, a judge won't accept a plea if the judge believes that the person is lying. A judge won't do it. That's why they make you say that in court, but a judge won't do it. But we got a lot of judges who are just whatever, man. You know what I mean? And so rich folks, when rich people take a plea deal, you feel me? It's just like their attorneys are like, look, all the money in the world, you can't beat this. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it is what it is, but that's how it works down here. And that's still our judicial system is not the best, but I'll take this system over the rest. It is what it is. But yeah, it's, if you got yourself a good attorney, you can beat most state cases. Seriously, but most folks can't afford an attorney. But let's continue.
Is competent in understanding that the plea is voluntary and that there is a sufficient factual basis for entering this plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
I agree and find that there is a sufficient factual basis, and I find this plea of guilty to be knowingly, voluntarily, and intelligently entered.
So the plea has to be knowingly and intelligently. It can't be coerced. It can't be done when you're under the influence of drugs or alcohol. It has to be a very knowing and voluntary plea.
There's been a request that this sentence be entered under the First Offender Act.
Okay, First Offender Act. So we're going to break all this down. First Offender Act is a program in Georgia for first-time offenders without it, when you don't have a felony record, sort of a diversion program so you can keep a felony off your record. Now listen to what else he says.
And the court will approve that request, withhold adjudication.
Withhold adjudication. That means no finding of, even though you're admitting to the facts of this case, even though you're saying that there's enough facts to find you guilty, the court's withholding adjudication. That means they're not going to enter that guilty finding as long as you comply with the conditions of the sentence. Now listen to what the sentence is going to be and the conditions of the sentence.
Now, with this thing, like, so this is all said and done. She's not going to have anything on her record, right? Again, it seems like everything down here in America right now is geared to get people to tell on one another, right? That's the only way to, it's like, well, hey, well, we got this program. You can tell us what you know. We're not really after you. You know, we just need information from you. You take this plea, it won't go on your record. You'll get probation. You don't have to do any jail time and whatever else. This is what we're going to offer you. But the thing is, when they make these deals, they have to come forth and they have to give evidence, and they have to testify against whoever they want you to testify against involving that case. So, you know, she's looking at this. She's like, well, she'll, you know, even if she doesn't get disbarred, which she probably will, but even if she doesn't get disbarred, it's not on a record. She could say, I have a clean criminal record. She can go and apply for other positions and other things or whatever. And, you know, the country's going to know who she is. She's going to be one of the most notorious snitches in America, but she won't have a record. She'll be able to write her book. She'll be able to do all this other kind of stuff. And when you listen to her deal in this sentence, I mean, it's I've never heard of the amount of probation that she's getting. Like, I've never heard of this. Well, yes, I have once. Meek Mills had a lot of probation, but they kept adding to his. But if she violates any of these terms, bro, now she could be looking at some time. So, but let's check this out.
But I must notify you, Ms. Powell, that you're not allowed to withdraw your plea simply because you do not comply with the terms of the sentence.
So let's say she gets down the road and says, fuck this, I don't want to do this. Well, now that's called buyer's remorse, you know, which I think is going to happen in this case down the road, to be honest with you. Well, I'll get into that in a second. But you can't later withdraw your plea if all of a sudden you're just unhappy with the deal later.
And the terms of that sentence would be as recommended by the parties.
Listen to this.
On count 1, conspiracy to commit intentional interference with the performance of election duties, the sentence would be 12 months probation. And count.
Right, that's that interference with, you know, like election duties, right? So we were talking about like all the fundraising and all that. Nah, bro, they ain't on that. They're on all of the what these people tried to do. You know what and they say and they're accusing Trump of, you know, orchestrating all this, or at least ordering it once these people came up with a plan. But they were really trying to overturn votes. They were trying to keep people from voting. They were doing everything, and they do all this kind of stuff. You're gonna hear that she's basically everything you're about to hear the judge say. She's like, yes, I did that. That's what she's saying. Yes, I committed that crime, and he's gonna go through these different counts. She's saying, yes, I did it. She's already told the prosecution exactly how she did it, who was involved. You know what I mean? If she had any notes or she had any other evidence in writing or whatever that she could submit to the prosecution, she's already done that. So she ain't just saying I did it. She's saying I did it, and I'm proving I'm showing you how I did it. Here's the proof that I did it. So let's continue.